This is the Analysis in Chains with Nathan Williams and Neil Kieran.
Welcome to Analysis in Chains. I'm Nathan Williams. I'm sitting here in Abeokuta, Nigeria, with Faith Titus, the CEO and founder of eWealth Atlantic, which is a learning academy for blockchain, as well as co-founder of Blockchain Nigeria User Group. So it's quite an honor to be here with you, Faith. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
So tell me a little bit about eWealth Atlantic.
eWealth Atlantic is basically a blockchain academy that's poured to educate people about the blockchain, and it's also an opportunity or a platform to create more awareness for the blockchain technology adoption in Nigeria and across Africa, as God given us the grace. And over the time, we find out that a lot of people don't know what blockchain is all about. Sometimes when you talk about blockchain, and they'll tell you, oh, how does it look like? Is it a block that is being chained, together, and it sounds funny though. So when you come back and you try to gather them under a roof and you explain to them what blockchain is, the potentials, and how it's going to add value to their lives, and they become more interested in knowing what it is and how they can apply it to their different businesses. And that is what eWealth Atlantic has been doing, as well as the Blockchain Nigerian User Group.
Now, Blockchain Nigeria User Group has grown a lot since you started in 2016, right?
Yes.
You're up to about 5,000 people?
Yes, we even have above that, because I've been to blockchain conferences and you see a lot of people, all the big players in the industries, they are focusing to come to Africa, especially Nigeria, because they believe that Nigeria has one of the largest market or opportunity for the industry. But now the question is, these people that you are trying to come to meet, do they really understand what you're talking about? And even when you deploy those infrastructures or products, do you think they will be able to, accept it? Do you think they will be able to learn and run faster with it? So this is why for them to be able to, work in line with the products or the infrastructures, this is why education is very, very important. And that is why the Blockchain Nigerian User Group has been in Nigeria to be able to cover this gap. We hold conferences at least 3 times in a year in one of those, in 3 of the biggest cities in Nigeria, ranging from Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. In October, we were in Abuja, where we had the blockchain and artificial intelligence roundtable, where we had to gather government agencies, the big players, the fintech community, the Central Bank of Nigeria, the general public, people that matters in Nigeria, to come together to learn about this blockchain technology. And I can tell you that as we speak right now, we've been able to identify our community with the government, and now we've grown over 6,000 people on our database right now, on our mailing list. Yeah, like for any company that wants to come into Nigeria, you can actually have a good footprint in Nigeria or in the Nigerian market using our database.
Now, when you say you've got 6,000 people in your database, is this developers? Is this investors? Is this just enthusiasts or gamblers? What type of people are in the database?
We have more of the blockchain and cryptocurrency enthusiasts. We also have developers, people that have great startups projects. We have a huge number of startups. Sometimes they write us with great ideas, seeking for funding, and that is one of the reasons why I am here. Even one of the reasons I have to go to Malta Blockchain Conference to see how I can possibly meet investors that can create a possible partnership. When I saw those ideas to them, to see how they can embrace them and deploy one of those infrastructures or blockchain hub or accelerators in Nigeria, so we can actually create value or help the startups, in Nigeria. There are a lot of people who are interested to be part of these industries, but they don't have the infrastructures. They don't know where to go to. And, those infrastructures are not cheap. And as you know, Nigeria is one of the, I would say it's a poor country, A lot of people cannot afford 3 square meals a day. And now we're talking about blockchain. Let's assume you brought in an apps that will actually help them to do their businesses, but then they need to understand how to apply. They need a smartphone, they need gadget, they need internet, they need good data of speed, and we don't have most of those things in Nigeria, and these things they cost money, because a lot of money. So this is why the industry or the investors or capital venturalists, as we may call them, they need to understand all this and be able to tailor a particular product that will be user friendly to the Nigerian market.
What sort of things would help help these products be user friendly? Are we talking sort of like graphical interfaces as opposed to more writing? Are we talking about simpler as opposed to more technical? It almost feels like those sorts of things are needed in every market.
Yeah, I know. As much as they are needed in every market, the Nigerian market is different from the German market. It's different from the US market. We have technology is more advanced in Europe, in the UK, US than in Nigeria. So the thing is that they need to study the what works for Nigerians, how the people transact in their businesses, because most of these transactions are done locally, because we don't have the technicality to be able to do those high speed transactions that are being done maybe in the Europe, because one, like I said, we don't have a good internet, and internet is very expensive in Nigeria. Okay, so they need to tailor the products. It doesn't really have to be of that high technical thing, they just need to make it very user friendly, make it very simple, so that people can actually use it. A lot of people don't have money to afford smartphone, so there should be some apps that can actually work with maybe just text message. You could just send a text message and you have your transaction done, and it's recorded on the blockchain. You don't really need to have a lot of internet, to be able to do this. And meanwhile, we're talking about the unbanks, and we're talking about financial inclusion as well, right? So, if the unbank, if they had money, they would have been able to go to the bank, to the centralized system, to be able to have access to fund. And now we're saying that the cryptocurrencies can actually have a financial inclusion for the unbank, right? So this is why you don't need to make the technology so expensive to the extent that the poor community cannot even know how to use it. So you need to tailor it to what works for them. You make it very simple and smart, very direct, no much of technicality. And even if you have to do a very high technical project or gadgets, okay, you need to deploy people who can actually train these people to understand how to use it. If you deploy a project that is very high in technicality, these people you're deploying it on may not use it very well. And that is prone to destruction. They may destroy it. It may not work. And when this happens, you as a developer or investor will be at a loss.
It's interesting. Since I've been here, I found I've been learning a lot about Nigeria that maybe you hear about when you're living in Europe, but until you sort of see it for yourself, you don't really understand, how things work, the realities that many people face here, some of the infrastructure that we take for granted in Europe that just isn't around. And what I found is that a lot of people are looking to new technologies, especially to something like blockchain, as maybe a way for the African continent or for Nigeria to sort of leapfrog infrastructures that they weren't able to have and in the past. And there's a bit of a hope that because blockchain is software based, that there's the possibility now for African continent to be producer of this type of technology instead of the taker of this technology. I'm wondering, what's your perspective? Do you see the potential for Nigerian entrepreneurs and African entrepreneurs in general to be producers of this technology, and what would be required to make that happen?
Yeah, I see a very great opportunity because, like I said earlier, there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of startups, and there are a lot of developers. Okay, there are a lot of people that are developing one thing or the other that can actually serve for the African or Nigerian community, which now will not really require the Europeans to actually deploy most of those technology down to Nigeria, because we already have great people here that are working on projects. But one of the limitations is actually fund. There are no investors. So this is why we need the big players, who have got those funds, investors to come in, then bring in fund, we go to work. And with that, it's going to work. I mean, it's going to add a great deal even to the Nigerian market.
Tell me a bit about how you got involved with blockchain in the first place. How did you become an expert?
In 2016, when we had about, we've had about this thing. I don't know if you know about this MMM.
MMM?
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, I think it's a Russian company. Then they brought in a scheme, like a Ponzi scheme, that was accepting Bitcoin, okay, which people were just making money, so it was like a pyramid scheme. You have to donate to somebody, someone else will donate to you, they will have to use your money to pay, but then we didn't really understand that. But I looked at it and I said, this is actually a Ponzi scheme. I don't think I would get involved. But what I did was to go into research at someone who have an international degree in international oil and gas management, where I built upon my research capabilities. So when I heard about this and people were going on the internet and they were finding it very difficult to access their website, and I said, this is very simple. This is how you can access this with your smartphone, with limited data. And I found out that I was actually adding value, and people started coming to me, teach me how to do this, teach me that, how to do that. Then I was working in a financial institution. Okay, after I had I returned from the UK for my master's degree. So I found out that I have a lot of people I can add value to. So I created a WhatsApp group where I was educating people. As at then, I didn't really know much about it, but I was always on Google. They said Google is your best friend. Yeah? So I was always on Google researching. Sometimes I have to copy and paste. It will ask question, what is this? I'll go there and I'll copy and paste. This is what it means. So from there, I started growing communities, and people started coming to my house. They were looking for me. Please teach me this. I will go on conferences and they will say, I can't do this. And I'll tell them, I know how to do this. I'll help you do this. And sometimes people they started making offer. I'm going to pay you this if you can help me do this. And I said, it's not about the money, because I was actually working. Yeah. But at a point, I had to research deep. And I read where they said that blockchain is actually the future. And Bitcoin is the future of money. And I said, what? And, doing most of those transactions, and I was getting money, and I said to myself, hey, what am I doing here? Why should I be carrying files from one office to another? Why can't you just create your stuff after all, you're a professional because I have a degree in surveying and geomatics, and I'm a certified geomatician. So we actually call that land surveying. I'm a chartered land surveyor. And I said, no, I've got all those degrees, qualifications, I need to build my own brand. I need to leave, and I had to resign from my job. So I started doing some professional courses. There was this exam I took that has to do with C4 consortium. It has to do with Bitcoin professionals. I did some exams. I took some modules on Udemy. I read different certifications on blockchain. Right now I belong to the Government Blockchain Association. I belong to different blockchain communities, women in blockchain. A lot of people keep calling me, okay, come teach us this, come. So because I now know that people have the deficiency in the knowledge of what blockchain is, so that was how I had to set up my own company. I registered it, and I started teaching people.
If people want to get involved with what you're doing here in Nigeria, what sort of things could they do to get involved?
Well, first of all, it's about having the decision. They have to decide. They have to have the will, the interest, of adding value to Africa, because there are a lot of people who are suffering. And this is why I had the idea of creating a cryptocurrency, that is backed by the oil and gas. Yeah. Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier, about this idea of an oil and gas backed protocol token.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about how this works.
Okay. Well, the thing is that what spawned the idea is when you walk around the Nigerian community or Africa, you see a lot of poor people. You see that we have energy challenge. We know that the 2 billion people that do not have access to electricity. And a lot of businesses are dependent on power generation to be able to have a successful business that will generate profits for them. And when they have this money, it will make them to send their children or kids to the university. It will, at long run, eradicate poverty in Nigeria. So when we looked at this and we said, okay, because there are a lot of cryptocurrencies as well that came into Nigeria, and they just came a lot of scam projects, and they don't have credible use cases. And we said, how do we add value to the grassroots, to the people, to the real unbanked people? So we needed to create a product that will actually touch life and in the end add value to their financial life. So we had to create the cryptocurrency, which is called CFA coin.
CFA
coin? Yeah, it's actually coin for all.
For all.
Yeah, it's targeted. It's African markets targeted or market driven anyway. It's CFA coin.io.
CFA coin.io.
Yeah. So we felt that when we create this product, people can use the coin to go to our partnered filling stations, oil and gas filling stations, to access petrol and gas at a very discounted rate. And when this is done, it's going to help them to save more money. That will give them that access to financial inclusion in the future. But as it is right now, we have a lot of limitations. The market is down. And 2017 recorded one of the biggest ICO scams. So right now, a lot of people don't really believe in ICOs. And we're still there. We're battling with it. But we hope that in the nearest future, we're going to break even.
Well, it sounds really interesting. Faith Titus, thank you so much for coming on the show. Faith Titus is the CEO and co-founder of eWealth Atlantic, as well as the co-founder of the Blockchain Nigeria user group, and as well as pushing forward this project of CFA Coin, the oil and gas backed cryptocurrency for the people. Congratulations on all that you're doing, and best of luck with your projects in the future.
Thank you very much.